Hello and welcome back to the channel. You join me as I start my preparations for the 2025 MG Car Club Speed Championship. This time we're going to be in Group 3, the modified car class, as opposed to the road-going car class. And what that means is we can do a few more things to the car. We can lighten it, we can make it go around corners quicker, and we can do things to the engine. So this video is about the cylinder head upgrades that we're going to do. So in Group 2, the cylinder head had already been flowed, so already been fettled for better airflow. But you had to have standard valves to compete in that class. And that's one of the things that's a fairly easy upgrade as we look to moving to Group 3. So it's fairly well recognised that on the A series engine, most of the power will actually come from the head and the work that you do to this. And there's some fairly big changes to it, which are fairly typical on the high power race engines. Probably the most obvious change that can be made is to change the valve size. So increasing the size of the valves from the standard ones. Second is to skim the blocks to increase the compression ratio of the engine. And the third is to flow the head to get better gas flow as the air moves through from the induction, through the valves, and then into the exhaust. Done right, together with a balanced bottom end with increased capacity, you can easily touch 120 horsepower plus with these engines. So mine on the dyno with standard valves, standard SUs, was putting out just under 95 horsepower. So my challenge to get to Group 3 is to try and push up, see if I can get to somewhere between 105, 110 horsepower out of this engine. If I can, I'd be really pleased with that. So it's already been flowed. So the big change that we're going to make this time around is to get the head off. We're going to get that sent away for machining. We're going to have some larger valves put in, and then we'll get the head back, get it back on the car, and then consider the exhaust and the induction options. So let's have a look at what's involved in taking this head off. It's actually quite an easy job on an A series. We'll get the spark plugs out, we'll take the rocker cover off, disconnect and get rid of all the water. We need to take the induction system off, so all of this can come off in one piece from the bolts on the manifold. The bolts also hold the exhaust on, so the exhaust can be taken away. We can then release in the right sequence all of the cylinder head bolts, take off the water temperature sender, remove the pipework at the back for the water, so all the water will have gone at that point. We'll take the oil out because the oil is going to get replaced anyway, and then in theory this should just lift off. So at that point we can get it away to get the machining done. So there then, within a relatively quick period of time, I'm literally talking 15 minutes, we've got all the water piping off. So next thing to do is get the induction and the exhaust off. There, and about 20 minutes later, that's the induction system off. So then next is to remove the head. So we've got to remove the cylinder head bolts and also the rocker cover bolts. Removing those in the order, of course, the reverse of what they're tightened up in. So following the book here, we're going to get those off. Head now ready to lift away then. Revealing then the inside of the engine. So there we have it. That's looking nice and clean, so no real concerns there. What we can do is just clean up the top of the head, refresh the gasket, and we'll be ready to go back together again once the head's done. So what then to the head? Overall the head looks in really good shape, which I should hope, because it's only done a few seasons. Here we can see our standard size valves, inlets here 33mm. So the plan is to have these changed to big bore valves. I'll have a little bit of head work done here in order to get a little bit more power out of this head. Don't need to have it flowed, as you can see it's already been flowed and done really well as well. So no need to have extra flowing work, but if your head hasn't got this, then it will certainly make a big difference. So it's going to need new springs as well. We'll get these replaced and consider the roller rocker option as well. You can see here this head, the 12G 940 head. So we're going to take this now and we're going to see a wizard. Here then, the home of the wizard, Peter Burgess Automotive Engineering. So it's now January 2025 and we're off back up north yet again to see the wizard. Of course, the wizard living up the A38 by Alfreton, the home of course of Peter Burgess Automotive Engineering. The cylinder head's done, it's ready to collect, and I have to say I'm quite excited. You see, you can buy bits and just bolt bits onto your car, but when something's been made or machined or manufactured for you, that's quite exciting. Really got high hopes for this cylinder head. I'm hoping to put about 10-15 horsepower on the car, and this cylinder head modification is going to be one of the keys that make that happen. So let's see what we've got. And this is where the wizard lives, but it doesn't look like his home. And here we are back at home, and the wizard has indeed done magic. Here then, the finished head, looking very nice indeed. If we turn it over, got some nice new valves here. The exhaust valves here at around 29mm, but more importantly the inlet valves just under 36mm. And then if we look at the inlet tracks here, these have been flowed out to suit the intake for the Weber carburettor that's going on it. So that should give some really nice airflow into the induction setup. So next thing to do then is get this back on the car. So we've got this Payenne head gasket here, so always had good experiences with Payenne head gaskets, so we're going to put that on, use some well seal either side to ensure a good seal, and get it torqued down per the bolt sequence that we took it off with. So head on, now for the nuts, push rods, tappet set to connect it all up. Right, so we're ready to torque the bolts up, and we're going to go to 50 pounds-feet in 3 stages, following the sequence that's in the book. That's the head torqued down then. This seems like quite a good time to set the tappet gap as well. We're going to go for 12 thou and start there. Again, there's a sequence for setting the tappets. You can find that in all the good books and online. So we're going to set that now using the feeler gauges. So with the head bolted up, time to get the water all connected up. So with the pipework connected to the top of the cylinder head, underneath the bypass valve, underneath here, top tube, bottom radiator, all that remains then is to fill the car with antifreeze and water using the handy filler that these 1275 engines have on the top. Of course, the classics using the blue stuff as opposed to the red stuff, which you get in a lot of modern cars. Final step then, rocker cover on, then we're done. And there we are then, with the cylinder head on, oil catch tank connected. That's the engine reinstalled. Now we need to put the induction on. We're good to go. So really looking forward to getting this engine started now. Now the cylinder head's back together again with some improvements. Last step then is just to put the induction and the exhaust on, so we'll do that in the next video. That's probably a good time to finish. So once again, thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing, thanks for all your questions and comments, and I'll see you on the next video as we prepare for the 2025 MG Car Club Speed Championship.